So just to say, the Public Service Transformation Academy is made up of these august bodies. It's led by the Whitehorn Industry Group, of whom Anna, who welcomed you and gave you the name badges and stuff, is the representative today, and my company Red Quadrant, which is a network consultancy doing public service transformation. We were formed as a not-for-profit company limited by guarantee, a social enterprise, to bid for the concession contract to deliver the Cabinet Office Commissioning Academy. So what you're going on now is a 6 or 7 year developing programme initiated by Lord Maud back in 2011-2012, which was always about bringing together a group of expert practitioners and businesses and charities and representative bodies who could really help people in public services to really intelligently address the mixed market of service provision that we have now. We are now reporting in to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport and the Office of Civil Society, of whom there are 2 representatives here today, in our really interesting, it was a very innovative bit of commissioning from central government. Essentially, we have the right to trade as the Cabinet Office Commissioning Academy and link into DCMS, but we get some performance targets, but we get no money. Hence we're a true social enterprise in that sense. We do a range of other things to support public service transformation, and our mission is to enable public services to transform themselves. I'm a consultant in my day job, so most of the people who you'll meet are walking the walk as they go. I've been in public services for 20 years, which I'll talk about later, but we believe that we should do ourselves out of a job and that we should actually create the capability in the sector. So we do a whole range of other things. 2 things I want to plug. We have a really great event coming up next week in the Wirral. We have people from the Wirral, Simon from the Wirral here, and with Wigan, and we have somebody from Wigan here. Great. Talking about that whole thing, the Wigan deal has really captured the public imagination in the sector, certainly, and talking about how we can create new relationships between the local state and citizens and communities, from the Wigan experience and from the aspiration of the Wirral to do that not only from a council perspective but from a whole partnership. That'll be well worth coming to. That's free. You are now all alumni of the Commissioning Academy already. I hope you'll see it through to the end to actually get your certificate. And on the 24th of May we've got our landmark conference, which is titled It Doesn't Have to Be This Way. We've been running this process, Public Service State of Transformation, to identify what's what in transformation. Is such an overused word, isn't it? Just like commissioning is, and it means all things to all people, and it means nothing, and consultants won't hesitate to put it in a thing to try and sell you on whatever they're trying to sell you on. But we were trying to pin down what's important, what really works, what are really good examples. So that'll be a very dynamic conference, learning and sharing and applying all of these kind of ideas, including some representatives from Wigan and from the Wirral back in again, that mix, having those kind of discussions. The other organisations in here range from social enterprises to charities to businesses, small, medium, large, etc. A whole rich mix. We brought them together because we think they all have something innovative to add to people like yourselves in terms of their expertise in public service transformation, kind of cutting edge stuff. But you in this room have many more years of experience than me and Paul combined, and you have a lot more wisdom about what works and what doesn't work. So this is all about adult learning and how you apply the thinking. So just to briefly explain the Commissioning Academy, our goal is to help you achieve radically better outcomes for citizens and communities. We'll be offering tools, techniques and approaches, but we'll be using evidence, we'll be using war stories, stories of failure, hopefully just as much as stories of success, because that's the reality, and there is a lot more failure in this field than there is success. We should acknowledge and work with that. Over 1,500 graduates from across public sectors. Actually, it's over 1,700 now, and there are graduates of the Commissioning Academy, but also of our leading transformation programme, which is like a mini MBA, online learning and experiential learning and in business coaching, and then a simulation over 12 months. and our service transformation programme, which is 1 or 2 day short, sharp, experiential things about changing at the service or the process level, if that makes sense. So we try and triangulate these 3 things to give you a whole overview of transformation. So you will be in that alumni network, and you'll have the opportunity to come to our free events, of which the one in the Wirral is an example, and to contribute and to be a speaker at commissioning academies and to learn and share with others. Please tweet if you're that way inclined. Use the unwieldy hashtag Commissioning Academy, and the 2 accounts that are relevant are at Commissioning Ac, the Commissioning Academy account still controlled by the Office of Civil Society, and at Service Reform, that's us, the PSTA. So today we're going to give you an overview. Towards the end of March, there's going to be the markets session, where you actually engage with providers, a rich mix of providers, small, medium, large, charity, voluntary, social, etc. It kind of surprises me in this day and age that it's still a surprise to commissioners, but actually that's a day that people find really valuable, where some of the scales fall from their eyes, where suppliers who are not your personal suppliers in your own little part of the world will tell you how it is. You know, we've had suppliers talk about blacklisting organisations because they're no good at procurement. We've had suppliers talk about when they're going to walk away from contracts and all kinds of things like that, so that's usually quite an eye-opening, interesting day. On day 3, we always like to include a site visit, so you have the experience of speaking to people who've really been through commissioning and transformation cycles and got a lot of rich learning in a lot of different fields. We're going to be going to Croydon. That's quite exciting because they've really done some quite radical, innovative things, including including kind of some approaches to integrated care, i.e. the model of co-delivery of different types of care services, including transforming their front office, moving out of an outdated building, digitisation, great enormous amounts of regeneration over there, so there'll be a whole range of things. Paul will cover this in the learning points, but that's a great example of where they might not be talking about your precise challenge. But if you listen carefully and you apply the learning, I guarantee there'll be lots of rich learning from what they've done, even if it's, you know, regeneration of disused sites in order to generate economic development. That will somehow apply to your public health challenge. I guarantee it. There'll be learning in there, or whatever it may be. End of May, we'll be talking about how you can shape markets, influence citizens, how you can really change the context in which you're working, doing your commissioning, trying to achieve outcomes. And the final day is about embedding commissioning and leading change, and we always round up with a really inspiring, interesting speaker, but this is about the real challenges of making the rubber hit the road in your organisation and making change actually happen. Lots more to say about all of that. Today we're going to be a bit loosey-goosey with the agenda because of the things that I've talked about before. Paul's going to introduce the learning philosophy and the critical 100-day plans, which is you applying the learning in your real organisations. And then I'll bring in commissioning concepts and principles. You'll all get to introduce the organisations that you're from, so that you can build the peer knowledge and the shared learning. You will get as much from your colleagues in the cohorts during this course, I guarantee, as you get from anybody standing up at the front and speaking. And today there is more speaking. It's going to be quite engaging, we hope. It's going to be a conversation rather than a lecture, but there'll be a rich mix across the 5 days of the courses of engagement, you interviewing people, you working with each other, peer support, etc., etc. And then we'll go through complexity, systems leadership in the commissioning context, and commissioning for outcomes, and as I say, we'll negotiate the end time towards the end. Before you turn the page and start to look at the definitions of commissioning, before you turn the page, I'm just going to set you a quick challenge. We've talked quite a bit already, so I just want you on your table. I'm only going to give you 4 minutes for this, so don't try and overdo it, to come up with a definition or a pitch to sort of sell the concept of commissioning, but the only constraint is it must be one single sentence so that we can do the feedback quickly. Is that clear? Any questions about that challenge? All right, 4 minutes, come up with a definition or a pitch.